What's going on, guys? It's CJ and welcome back to the Bullshit Podcast. This week I wanted to do something a little bit different, so I'm doing it all on camera because I wanted to show you some things from my holiday that I just didn't want to sort of put up pictures. I will put up some pictures, but for the most part I wanted to be on camera for this one, just so I can sort of show you little bits and pieces of things that I picked up while I was there. So if you don't know, I went to Fiji and I didn't know anything about Fiji until I got there, and I learned a fair bit and absolutely fell in love with the place. But this episode I wanted to talk about your character's culture, because over there they have such a family-focused culture. They're such a friendly people. They look like absolute warriors, but they're just so gentle and kind, and I absolutely fell in love with Fiji. So I wanted to show a few things from their history that I've now decided to incorporate into my character's history, just as sort of a nod to the Polynesian sort of feel that we go for. So my character's homeland, the main sort of art style that I do is a Polynesian sort of tribal look, but we mix in the Northman style knotwork, Celtic sort of styles. And then for a lot of our like everyday to day life sort of stuff, it's heavily inspired by the Viking style. So the things that I picked up while I was over there and that I wanted to sort of incorporate into my character is certain tools that they used. Now, for the people that don't know, Fiji has a history with cannibalism. They would go to war with either enemy tribes or invaders or whatever it may be. They would go to war with these people, and they would then take the bodies back to their camp, I guess, or village, and they would do a ritual because they've vanquished their warrior enemies, and now they wanted to absorb the power of that person. So they would actually cook up the meat and basically just eat humans, which is kind of freaky when you think about it in today's sort of mindset. But back then and in that culture, it was just normal for warriors to eat other warriors to gain more strength. And it must have worked, because look at them, they're fucking just jacked. All of them are jacked. So I got a few tools while I was there, and I wanted to sort of blend that into my character's history a little bit, just to sort of add on to the Polynesian inspired stuff, because I've got a lot of the Viking stuff and only a little bit of Polynesian when it comes to things like artwork and certain words. But these are the things that I picked up while I was in Fiji. So the first one's really simple. It's just a shell necklace. So they put the string through and they chuck a bunch of shells on there. So I hope you can see it. Hang on. Well, there. So this is what they have. So it's just different little shells all stacked together and made into a necklace. And I wanted to sort of incorporate that because it sort of plays into both. The Viking style were seafarers, Polynesian seafarers, but they lived on the beaches. And my culture that I've come up with, the capital city, Lowbridge, is actually on the beach. It's a port. So shells just kind of make sense. I don't know why I don't use them more. I do have a big ass conch shell that I use, but it's so heavy that it's just kind of annoying to drag around, but I usually have it there as a prop piece. But yeah, I wanted to start incorporating shells, so that really does play well into my character's homeland and history, because they are sort of on the beach, they are at the port and the sea, so shells 100% makes sense to me. So I'm going to start incorporating more little shell necklaces and things like that, just to sort of add a little bit of spice to our kit. The next things that I wanted to incorporate into my character's culture and history is, I'm not going to steal directly from what they did, but the story goes they had certain tools that they would use when it comes to cannibalism. So the first one is obviously my favorite, but it's like a kind of like an axe, and they've got different sort of engravings on it. So this one has a turtle, which I need to now come up with some sort of reason that we sort of like turtles. Maybe just because they're shell is hard and this is a hard piece of wood. But they're kind of like an axe. They're not 100% an axe because they don't actually have a blade. It's a thick, broad edge. And the reason for that is, supposedly from what the locals told me, is they would hit you in the neck with it, and that would sort of break your neck, and then you're kind of paralyzed. They just fuck you up a bit more, and then yeah, they'll just take you back to their village, which then brings in tool number 2. Tool number 2 is a bit more gruesome than that. So breaking your neck and dragging you back, kind of paralyzed. This actually gets a little bit more gruesome, but this is a cannibal fork. So the reason that they have these is they would use the axe, or they also have mauls, like a blunt ball on the end of a stick, so just a heavy weight, and they would crack your skull open, and then they would use this fork, which is a 4-pronged fork, and they would then sort of dig it in, twist, take out pieces of your brain, and they would eat that. So I wanted to incorporate this a little bit as a ritual thing, so not like we're absorbing our enemy's strength. Instead, I wanted this to be just sort of like 100% just a ritual, something very special that we would do for specific people. So we wouldn't actually just eat everyone. It would be something that a priest would sort of eat a piece of the enemy's brain to, I don't know, maybe gain knowledge of their battle tactics or their culture, things like that. So that's, I wanted to incorporate this, and I will work on that a little bit more and go in depth with that. But this tool is absolutely savage, and I absolutely love it. The engravings on this one also are very, very like small and detailed. Like, they're not exactly the cleanest cut. Like, I wouldn't say Gigivons would do something like this, but that suits me, because every time I engrave stuff, it's crap, and this isn't crap. This is a lot better than what I would do, but it's very simple, so it's something that I could do if I took the time, but I always get bored and then I just go and I'm done. But that's one tool that I definitely want to incorporate. The last one is the priest's mask. So this is freaking savage, because I love it because it's sort of like the bull back there. It's sort of two-tone, like half and half. But yeah, I absolutely love this thing as well. So this is a chieftain mask, or like a chief's mask. Again, I'm just sort of going off what the locals told me. But it is something that they would wear when they do the rituals, when they're eating their enemies. So the reason I got this one is because it has the cannibal fork and the axe. I actually should call it by its real name, but I just keep saying axe. So the axes are called salis, which I really should call them salis, but they look like an axe, and I feel like everyone's just going to recognize them as an axe, even though they're not sharp. So yeah, I definitely want to incorporate this. I don't know whether or not I'll drill holes here so I can wear it, or if I kind of like the idea of you have to hold it. So it's not like your average mask. This is actually something that you're sort of forced to carry with you, and then when it's time to use it, you bring it up. So those are the tools and bits and pieces that I want to incorporate into my culture. Because I love the Polynesian style, I love the Polynesian people. I've got a lot of Māori, Tongan, Samoan, and I wish I had more Fijian friends because their culture's so interesting as well. But I want to incorporate more of that. And Monty, my good friend, sort of brought us into that culture a little bit with his style, and I definitely wanted to sort of build on that. That was the inspiration when I sort of met up with Monty. He gave us the sort of, I don't know, it was kind of like a ritual bringing you into the whānau, which is family, and that was really special to me. So I wanted to sort of honor that and continue with the Polynesian, Māori, Tongan sort of styles. So the tips that I have for when it comes to building a culture is find one that inspires you, that fits your character. So obviously Viking style fits my character really well. So a lot of my culture is based on the Viking style, but then adding in these little bits of flair from Polynesian, Tonga Māori and all that, it sort of makes it not so one-dimensional. It sort of spreads it out, and you've now got other things that you can play with. And when people come across you, they're not going to sort of just see, oh, he's the Viking. Like, basic. I'm not a basic bitch. I like to mix things up, bring things in from here and there, and then make it into one cohesive story. So find one that inspires you. So a lot of people playing elf characters, they play just basic elves. There's no real, I don't know, like mixture of different ideas. It's all just like copy paste elf. And I would love to see elves with more of a barbaric style that are completely different to all the other elves that you would see, and that would be interesting to me. I'll be into that, because generally I hate elf type characters, like the style that is. I'm not a big fan of that. I hated Legolas. I hate the clean cut sort of style. So if you had elves that were like barbaric, like in my last video I showed a picture of an elf that was sort of like tribal, and that was cool. I fucking loved that. So if you can sort of do that and mix and mash a few different styles together, it makes your character that much more lived in and less of a copy paste. The other thing that I would suggest is, like I'm doing, is using tools. So coming up with tools for your culture is a big thing, because not everyone's going to use the exact same stuff. So if you've got something custom, something unique that other people aren't going to be using, it makes your character and your culture seem more realistic. So having tools like the cannibal fork and the sales and the mask, that's going to just build up my character and my culture a lot more, and it makes it just a bit more unique in the realm of LARP. Language is a big thing. I've come up with my own language. I actually did it in I think it was year 9 with my friend Manny. We would talk in our own language, write in our own language. We had our own alphabet. Everything was like, just so we could basically talk shit about teachers in front of teachers, and the teachers didn't know we were talking that shit. Because we got detention once for, and this sounds fucked up, but we had a teacher. She was an absolute bitch to us. But to be fair, we're probably shit kids, right? But she was walking behind us and we didn't know. And we were talking about how we hate her. And as we were walking along, she eventually heard enough about it and confirmed, yeah, we were definitely talking about her. And she tapped us on the shoulder and said, meet me in the principal's office. And yeah, one thing led to another, and we got in big ass trouble for that. Some of the things we were saying, they were pretty fucked up. But so language was something that we had to come up with to sort of pass these messages on. So I can speak in my language. It does take a little bit of time because of the style that I came up with. I made it very simple, and it was just so me and my friend Manny could talk to each other. But now that I use it for my LARP character, I had to come up with a reason that it's so simple. And it's basically just comes down to, my people don't say a lot in our own language. We prefer to just get to the point. So instead of saying, oh, how's the weather today, we would just say hot or cold. Easy. So we just come up with different ways that we can sort of shorten things down. So instead of saying they're flanking on the right, we would just say flank right. And then we would push to the right. Things like that. So language isn't easy to come up with. I know the orcs use black speech, which is cool. If you can learn it, it is not easy to learn. And I think if you come up with a language yourself, you will learn it a lot faster than sort of stealing from another novel and things like that. So stealing black speech and incorporating it into your character is definitely going to be a lot harder than just coming up with your own language. Another thing that you can do is fake it till you make it. So if you are an orc and you're, say, with a good friend, you're both orcs, and you come across some elves, you immediately know you want to fight these elves because they're elves. You want to fight the dwarves because they're dwarves. You want to fight pretty much everyone. You're an orc, right? if you and your friend have the same sort of mentality, if your friend is a passive type player and you're an aggressive type player, this may not work because you're not going to be able to communicate the way that you want to. But if you're both playing an aggressive kill all type character, then it's a lot easier just to go and spit some whack shit, and it doesn't really mean anything, but you both know that that's what you're getting at. You both want to attack. So if I say anything in a made-up orc language that means absolutely nothing to no one, even myself, it would sort of translate over to him and go, okay, yeah, all right, so this is about to go down. And then you just make it really obvious when you're about to attack, because if you sort of say attack in your fake language and he's just standing there like thinking that you're yelling bitch or something, that's not going to work. So that is another thing you can do, is fake it till you make it, depending on the types of culture that you're going for. The next thing that I really want to work on with my brother, and we have started sort of kicking ideas around, is we have 3 gods. I'll get to religion. But we have 3 gods and no holidays. We have no sort of traditions, celebrations. So we're coming up with stories now. So we've got one holiday that celebrates Mill, one holiday that celebrates Nil, and then obviously one that will celebrate Khan. The 3 gods, the 3 brothers. So we're going to come up with different ideas. So I want my brother Nick, who Nil is based off, to come up with a holiday for Nil. And then I'll come up with one for Khan, which is based on me. And then we'll come up one together for Mill, which is based on my oldest brother. So having different holidays and things that you can sort of say, all right, every 4 events, I will have this holiday, or I'll have this holiday. It just sort of makes people go, okay, this guy takes Larp seriously. It's not just like he shows up with a sword and smacks people. Like, this guy actually thinks about his character and what he's actually doing, and it breathes into the game a whole new life, especially for your character, but for other people just witnessing it, it is something special. And then I'll jump on the last one, because I don't know how long this video has already gone for, but the last one I want to talk about is religion. Religion is something that your character either should have or should be against. I don't think there should be the sort of agnostic, atheist sort of style. Well, agnostic mostly, but if you can come up with a religion that you and your warband or your army all follow, it makes your army more credible in my eyes. So when it comes to my army, the White Bulls, we have the 3 gods, Mil, Nil, and Khan. And I've come up with a history of how the universe began, what happens when you die, how the gods interact with each other, how old they are. All these sorts of things have sort of already been fleshed out for me. And anyone that joins the White Bulls can now adopt that culture and that religion. And then even with certain aspects of it, I leave it open-ended so you can add on to it if you want to. And that's something really big for me, is giving people the option to create their own story within a story I've already created. So I've got my map from home. I should have brought this up as well. But I do have a map about where I'm from, and I've given people the freedom to say, all right, I'm from this region and this town. You can then write the history of that town. So if orcs want to say that they're from the same land, there's an orc village called Sharkravok, where they can say, okay, this is the culture that we have from this area. The only one that I don't let people touch is Lowbridge. You can't change Lowbridge because I've already come up with it. So Fort Middlebrook, Liam has that. New Oakland, James has that. So there's different parts of my map that I leave open for other people. And they can come up with their own religions, which is something that James has already done. So I focus on the 3 gods. But who created the 3 gods? We have an answer for that. The Mother, which is basically what the universe is. And I think that is something that sets my character and my culture apart from everyone else, is I have a custom religion. There are other warbands in Australia I know that have done this, and I respect the shit out of it. And I would like to learn more about it. But it feels like every time I question people about their religions, they either don't know the answer or they're not willing to give me the answer. But for the most part, I think it's like maybe there's one person in that warband that knows that culture, and the rest of them sort of just get bits and pieces, which is fine. Like, I'm not expecting everyone to be an encyclopedia on their religions and cultures and things like that, but it is something that I think would make the world more lived in and realistic. So I don't want to drag on and keep going and going and going and going and going, but I really did want to show off these pieces. Absolutely ecstatic. I do have multiples, so I got my brother a cannibal fork as well. I also got him this Sally. So this one is just a more light brown sort of style, which is something that his character sort of incorporates, more of the light brown character colors. Mine's always dark blacks, dark browns, things like that. So I got him this one because I wanted us to be a little bit different, and it just seems super angry, which I want my brother to be a bit more of an aggressive character, but he's generally kind of the diplomatic smart one, and then I'm just the beat the piss out of everyone and take all their money. But that's pretty much it. So if you've got any interesting culture, religion, history, holidays, things like that, comment down below. I would love to hear your stories about your custom-made culture. And if you've got any other tips, drop them down below. I always want to learn other people's stuff, and I would love to hear what you guys have come up with. So on the next episode, I'm going to have Finn come in. We're probably going to do it over Zoom or Discord or whatever it is. But yeah, we're going to have a sit down chat about Finn's experience coming into LARP and being accepted for who he is, and sort of developing into the person that he wants to be. So that's going to be an exciting episode. I can't wait to get into that one. If you can join my Patreon, feel free to join it. I'm actually starting to contemplate whether or not I should have people join it and then give them their money back, just so it makes me feel special. But again, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one, and I'll be here with Ben.